to all of you, to everyone who had to follow us, KBC Channel 1 Legends Edition, every Saturday evening to be with us on this show. Well, we have a lot set aside for you, but first, we have the highlights. Messages of thanksgiving and hope as Kenyans usher in 2022.
Future is invisible to the naked eye, and only those with a lens of faith can see it. Only the bold and the courageous can achieve it.
President Uhuru Kenyatta says his administration will prioritize realization of the Big Four agenda and completion of major infrastructural development projects in the new year 2022.
Na nimefurahi sana kupata mtoto. Nilimzaa saa 6:30.
And it's double delight for mothers who ushered in the new year with new bundles of joy in their hands. Well, we are into a very new year, 2022, and it is Happy New Year to all our viewers, all our listeners of KBC. Well, my name is Catherine Kasavuli. Our sign language interpreter is Ann Wangeshi. And of course, later on tonight, we are going to host Topi Liambila on his Legends Sports. We start with our first news item. Messages of hope and thanksgiving dominated the 2021 end year sermons in churches as congregants ushered in the new year 2022. As they welcome the new year in pomp and color, the priests and pastors would reminisce of the year that was, calling upon Kenyans to be thankful, sensitive to those who lost in 2021, and be prepared for 2022.
Cheers and jubilation filled the air as the new year 2022 was ushered in style. Outside the church, the skies were colored with sparkles of fireworks, a tradition done to mark the beginning of a new year. Given the past New Year's had been rocked with high rates of the pandemic, restricting church gatherings, this year's celebrations were a breath of fresh air. At the Jubilee Christian Church in Nairobi, congregants will fill up the church from as early as 10 p.m., awaiting to cross over. The script was the same at the All Saints Cathedral in Nairobi, with congregants here strictly observing the COVID-19 protocols. The choir will sing out their lungs, lighting up the church. The presiding priest will call upon people to remember that God is the main factor in their achievements, be sensitive to families that lost, and gear up for 2022.
Tonight is a night that calls us to find Jesus. It's a night that calls us to set our eyes on Jesus. Because when we set our eyes on Jesus, then the vision or the target we're chasing and pursuing becomes even much clearer.
Other regions across the country will follow suit.
When you come to election year, it has been a big challenge. So that's why the message is a message of peace, that we should not let really politics divide us.
Tukiharibu hii nchi ni sisi wenyewe tumejiharibia. Kwa hivyo ningewaomba tu viongozi wenzangu, wanasiasa wenzangu, tuhubiri tu amani na tuhakikisha kwamba siasa zetu mwaka huu zitakuwa ni siasa za amani.
Tukitaka viongozi wazuri katika taifa Well, as the sermon indicated, it is a shiny, new, pristine new year. Another chance to give more than we've got and make a difference. For Legends Edition, I'm Serafina Robbie. 2022.
Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho has led locals in ushering the new year in style at the Mama Ngina waterfront yesterday night. An array of artists entertained the mammoth crowd who had thronged the grounds for the governor's final fireworks concert. Meanwhile, the coastal stretch showed off a spectacular display of fireworks as the hospitality sector reaped bountifully as it recorded 100% occupancy after 2 years of incurring losses owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. Our reporter Juni Karisa paints the picture of how Mombasa County ushered in 2022.
After nearly 18 months of trying to stay afloat in the midst of lockdowns and curfews due to the raging COVID-19 pandemic for the past 2 years, the hospitality industry in Mombasa boasts of a rich harvest this festive season. Local and international tourists throng beaches, safaris, as well as entertainment joints to quench their lust of merrymaking during the festivity. At the White Sands Hotel, the entertainment setup and food display was taken a notch higher as they beefed up COVID-19 health protocols as the celebrations hit its peak.
Kenyans have come down to Mombasa for the business, for their holidays during this new year. And they're enjoying themselves. Balancing between the safety of my guests and my staff is paramount. My urge is for all Kenyans to take the vaccination. Embrace that. Let's support the government in its efforts to help us eradicate COVID.
White Sands GM says full bookings are an indicative of how quickly the industry is taking advantage of the opportunity to revive the sector hard hit by the pandemic. The GM's plea to Kenyans is to embrace local tourism as he urged Kenyans to maintain peace and stability as the electioneering period draws nigh, sentiments echoed by several tourists.
We have our elections. Let's hope and let's put trust in Kenyans that it will be peaceful, it will be a quick thing, and we trust our leaders to do the right thing, and we should see business continue going up.
If I could make one plea for Kenya, try a direct flight to Mombasa. The hassle at Nairobi is too much.
And as the clock struck 12, the coastal stretch lit up with a spectacular array of fireworks, as is the norm. An overwhelming moment replicated at the Mama Ngina waterfront, where Governor Hassan Joho led his constituents in ushering the new year in style. As his tenure comes to an end, Joho thanked the residents for their support. Local leaders accompanying the county boss, urging locals to choose leaders who will move the country forward.
Safari hii, sisi watu ya Mombasa, tutaunga Raila Amolo Odinga.
Optimistic that 2022 is going to be a great year, that people will start recovering and jobs will start being readily available for our youths, and even those people that lost their jobs, businesses will be able to rise again.
No Kenyan will, take an arm, to fight another Kenyan. That is the Kenya that I believe we will have in 2022 going forward. I am so obsessed.
Kisumu residents last evening braved a heavy downpour to usher in the new year 2022 at their favorite joints, while some chose the traditional way of crossing into the new year in worship places. Others trooped to entertainment joints, as some took advantage of the street bash organized by the county government to cross into the new year in style. Here is Wycliffe Okech with those scenes.
The festive season this time round has been one of a kind in the lakeside city of Kisumu, as the county government yet again organized a street bash for the residents to usher in New Year 2022 in style. Revelers, largely constituted of school-going teenagers, took advantage of the bash to shed off the blushes of 2021, a year that has not gone quite well with many Kenyans, even as they prepare to resume learning next week. The revelers lauded the county administration for the event.
Kitu imenileta hapa ni kusherekea kufunguliwa kwa mwaka mpya, na nimefurahi na hii function yote inaendelea hapa. Sijawahi ona kama hii Kisumu hii.
I'm just here for the party, thanks to the governor. I really appreciate what he's doing for Kisumu.
I came here just to make some fun and enjoy myself with my family.
And while others chose the CBD way, others went the traditional route by visiting worship places to thank the Almighty for yet another year and pray for more blessings.
As today we are answering New Year, first day of January 2022, we say let this year to be a prosperous year for all Kenyans.
In the end of it all, the residents hoped for a better 2022.
In 2022, I expect lots of God's blessings, because what I prayed for in 2021, actually it has come to pass, and I am really grateful about that.
Mwaka uliopita kuna mambo imekutupita, tumekuwa na changamoto ya corona, tumekuwa na shida, uchumi imekuwa ngumu, lakini tunashukuru Mungu kama tunafuka hii mwaka, tuone mafanikio na tuone mabadiliko.
For the Legends edition, I am Wycliffe Okech.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has announced plans by his administration to fast-track the realization of the Big Four agenda, achievement of the universal health coverage, as well as completion of major infrastructural development projects across the country in the year 2022. In his message to the nation, the head of state also challenged Kenyans to pursue peace and work together in building a better nation.
President Uhuru Kenyatta led Kenyans in ushering the new year 2022. His New Year message, characterized by a clarion call for Kenyans to be futuristic and work together to make Kenya better.
There is always a challenge in a new year, in a new beginning. We tend, because it is easy, to celebrate the milestones of the past at the expense of making real our dreams of the future. And this is because the past is always visible and concrete. Its victories and failures are spread out for all to see. But the future is invisible to the naked eye, and only those with a lens of faith can see it. Only the bold and the courageous can achieve it.
This being his final year in office, the head of state highlighted the achievements of his administration in the last 9 years, affirming that in the new year, the nation will move closer to the realization of the dream of the Big Four agenda, achievement of the universal health coverage, as well as completion of major infrastructural development projects across the country.
Our landscape in the new year will also be redefined by the completion of the construction of major road arteries across every part of our nation. Notably, will be the iconic Nairobi Expressway that will be open for use in the first quarter of the new year. Away from Nairobi, we will also complete the Kisumu Mamboleo Road, the Eldoret Bypass, the Izibania Kisii Road, the Kibwezi, Mutomo, Kitui, Migwani Road, the Garsen Witu Road, the Laisamis Ngurut Road, the Makutano Kacheliba Konyayo Road in West Pokot, the Gong Suswa Road, the Kenol Marwa Road, the Mombasa Roads infrastructure, the James Gishoro Rironi Road expansion, as well as the Mau Mau roads.
And as the political drumbeats get louder as the country edges closer to the next general election, the president challenged Kenyans to remain peaceful and to choose leadership over politics if the country is to achieve any meaningful development.
Fellow Kenyans, despite COVID, for the last 5 years, we have recorded the most impressive growth in our economy. And this is because we separated the development agenda from politics. When we chose the path of peace and reconciliation over that of political strife and senseless competition, we gave our economy a chance to grow. If we keep this trajectory, brothers and sisters, of economic development without politics, our country has a very real chance of reaching unprecedented heights.
He also cited the gains made in the fight against COVID-19, noting that the government targets to vaccinate at least 30 million Kenyans by the end of 2022 and to introduce a booster jab in January.
Our government targets to vaccinate 30 million people by the end of December 2022. In the past few months, I am happy to note that we have witnessed an increase in vaccination rates, and so far 15% of our adult population is fully vaccinated.
The president also announced that the academic calendar will accommodate 4 terms in 2022 in a bid to catch up on lost time during the prolonged school closure, which was a mitigation measure against the pandemic. The government, through the Ministry of Education, also plans to deliver 10,000 classrooms across the country early this year to support the competency-based curriculum infrastructure program. For Legends Edition, I'm Safin Aching Ouma.
In his New Year message to Kenyans, the Anglican Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit has warned the political class against engaging in politics of disunity as the country heads to the general election. The cleric said recent utterances by the political class are provocative and should be avoided at all costs. He called on the electorate to ensure they exercise their voting right with sobriety by choosing visionary leaders.
Let us shun the language that divides us and bring the languages that bind us. We have seen temperatures rising in political rallies. Even yesterday, when you look at what was happening, the language was that of nitakunyorosha ama tutanyoroshana. That is not the language to build Kenya. Kenya will be built with a better language that we are going to show each other's love. We are going to provide leadership in a way that we are going to serve people. Let us also embrace leadership that is not going to use force, leadership that is not going to use coercion, leadership that is not going to influence through handouts and money. Let us look for leadership that is going to inspire through our vision.
Deputy President William Ruto has asked members of parliament to reject proposed legislations that seek to serve narrow and personal interests of some leaders. He said dishonest politicians should not use parliament to salvage their dwindling political fortunes. He was speaking at his Sugoi residence in Uasin Gishu County when he hosted a delegation of grassroots leaders from Lugari and Likuyani constituencies.
The biggest shame of any country that a law has to be passed so that to stop the deceit and the conmanship of some leaders, the dishonesty of some leaders. I don't know how we can legislate honesty into the law. It is the biggest indictment on leaders that their word means nothing. I am ready to keep my word with any coalition partner that we will get. We do not need to pass the law. We will keep our word because we are honorable and we are honest people.
It was double celebration for hundreds of mothers in the country who welcomed newborn babies slightly after the stroke of midnight. The mothers expressed joy and the comfort of receiving their bundles of joy as the world ushered in the new year. Pumwani Hospital recorded 21 births from midnight to 6 a.m. on the 1st of January 2022, with the first delivery coming at midnight midnight, and the youngest mother being a 16-year-old.
At Pumwani Maternity Hospital, Catherine Okwisa cannot hide the joy of giving birth to her firstborn last night as the world ushered in the new year. The 19-year-old ushered in a bouncing baby girl.
Na nimefurahi sana kupata huyu mtoto. Nilimzaa saa 6:30. Nimefurahi tu sana juu nilikuwa nimemtarajia.
Catherine says she did not experience any complications during her delivery. Next to her is Elizabeth Gitonga. She too was delivered of a baby girl. She is 21 with her first child. She was late for her delivery with 19 days. She was scheduled to get her baby on the 12th of December while Kenyans were marking Jamhuri Day.
Kupitisha nayo tarehe ni mzuri. Bado unaona hata yule kwanga sikukuu 12. Sasa alikuwa wa sikukuu huyu. Angekuja tu kondomana hata 31st nikijaribu akakata kabisa.
Michelle Nyambura was the youngest of mothers who welcomed newborn babies slightly after the stroke of the midnight at Pumwani Hospital.
The first mother who delivers after 12 was a small girl, 16 years, a student.
She brought to the world a bouncing baby boy at 3:01 a.m.
Imekuwa furaha yangu kupata mtoto hata kama niko na miaka kidogo, na imekuwa challenge kwangu juu sasa nilikuwa nafaa kwenda shule lakini sasa sikuwa naenda.
The gift, she says, gives her joy amid pain that she was forced to drop out of school during her last 2 months of pregnancy.
I hope nitalea mtoto hadi akue mkubwa. Akifikisha tuseme ka miezi kidogo nitarudi shule.
Compared to previous years, the hospital has recorded an increase in deliveries from midnight to 6 a.m. Only 3 delivered within the hour. John Kamande, who was the nurse in charge, said nurses at the hospital are overwhelmed by the number of patients seeking services at the hospital.
The numbers are there, but comparing the number of staffs and the number of the patients, we are overstretched. The staffs are overstretched. And bearing in mind now we have the COVID issue, and when you have the COVID, you have to go for isolation. That one has really affected the working environment of this place.
Nonetheless, all mothers managed to deliver safely. He says nurses derive great pleasure in seeing mothers safely bring their bundles of joy to the world.
Well, that's plenty of joy all around for mothers and, of course, members of the families. Well, on that note, we take a small break, and of course, later on when we come back, we feature a living legend who has been a great housing developer and politician, David Masika. Don't go away.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii ya subira, bonyeza *811 *397#.
Mwanangu, ujihunywewa ukiwa moto. Supu pia ni tamu na moto wake, ila hasira ukipa kwa moto, moto wake utakuchoma. Hasira moto itachoma urafiki, hasira moto itachoma kazi, hasira moto itachoma ndoa. Ukiacha ipoe, basi hubadilika kuwa msamaha. Unapomaliza mwaka.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya subira, bonyeza star 811 star 397 hash, star 811 star 397 hash.
Where's your man?
Business held him up. But you know him. He'll be here when he comes. I know how boring it is being in a room with these two. I have to leave them half the time alone.
Do your friends know about your boyfriend?
They have no reason to lie.
Get to hear anything at all. You out of your mind. I mean, what are you?
She's left.
Welcome back. Kenyans have expressed optimism that the new year will see an improvement in the economic situation despite the approaching electioneering period. Majority who say their livelihoods were disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic are, however, hopeful that the situation will improve in the new year.
On the first day of 2022 and amid a cloud of surging COVID-19 cases, Kenyans thronged various recreational centers to celebrate the new year. At Luna Park in Nairobi County, hundreds of families flocked this center with their children to shed off the challenges of 2021. They were treated to various fun activities such as boat riding, horse riding, Ferris wheel riding, among other fun activities. The families expressing optimism that the new year would see an improved economy.
Mimi kilichonileta hapa ni kuleta familia yangu tukiunga naye pamoja kulingana na hii mwaka yenye imeanza hii. Mwaka jana ilikuwa mwaka ngumu sana, mwaka ya corona, mambo ilikuwa mingi, lakini nataka Mungu atusaidie mwaka ikuwa mwaka ya mafanikio.
Kitu nimeweka ya kwanza, kitu ya kwanza nimeacha pombe mwaka jana. Sasa mwaka huu ni mambo ya kujivunia na kuinua jamii yangu, maana nataka ukuwe na furaha.
Traders also used the opportunity to sell their merchandise to the merrymakers. They, however, say business was slow compared to yesteryears.
Kusema ukweli, kama hii season ya hii Christmas, ya last time ilikuwa a bit better. This time tumehitiwa na COVID na tumehitiwa na Uhuru Park kuwa imefungwa. Tuko congested sana hapa. Nika space kadogo sana hapa. Kwa hivyo watu hawakuje juu space iko dogo.
And with the Uhuru Park currently under renovation, Nairobi residents say they want a bigger space set aside for recreational activities in the meantime.
Ukiangalia hii uwanja hakuna merry-go-round hata moja. Juu haiwezi zungukia, ka space ni kadogo. Hakuna vitu mingi, hakuna go-karting, vitu ni chache sana.
Nimekuja hapa lakini hii uwanja imefinyana sana. Naomba mkapate kutufungulia ili watu wapate space ya kuburudika.
Nasio Kware, Legends Edition.
The funeral mass for South African anti-apartheid campaigner Archbishop Desmond Tutu took place at the Anglican Cathedral in Cape Town earlier today. Tutu, a Nobel Peace Prize winner who helped end the racist regime in South Africa, died last Sunday, aged 90. In his eulogy, President Cyril Ramaphosa described Tutu as the spiritual father of their new nation.
Family, friends and dignitaries gathered for Archbishop Desmond Tutu's official state funeral on New Year's Day in Cape Town, capping a week of events honoring a man long considered to be the moral compass of South Africa. Tutu died last Sunday at the age of 90, sparking a global outpouring of tributes to the anti-apartheid hero. He had been in poor health for several years.
Have mercy on you, pardon your sins and set you free from them, confirm and strengthen you in all goodness, and keep you in eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord.
I thank you. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, who delivered the main eulogy during the service at St. George's Cathedral on Saturday, hailed Tutu as the country's national conscience.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu was without question a crusader in the struggle for freedom, for justice, for equality, and for peace, not only in South Africa, the country of his birth, but around the world as well. Such was the overarching impact and influence that Emeritus Archbishop Desmond Tutu had, that tributes have been received, as we had, from current, past presidents, religious leaders, monarchs, lawmakers, political parties, musicians, artists, and ordinary people from all corners of the world.
Tutu had insisted there should be no lavish spending on the funeral and wanted the cheapest available coffin. Tutu was one of the driving forces behind the movement to end the policy of racial segregation and discrimination enforced by the white minority government against the black majority in South Africa from 1948 until 1991. After Nelson Mandela became South Africa's first black president in 1994, Tutu was appointed by him to a Truth and Reconciliation Commission set up to investigate crimes committed by both whites and blacks during the apartheid era. Tutu was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1984 for his role in the struggle to abolish the apartheid system.
Where's your man? Business held him up. But you know him. He'll be here when he comes. I know how boring it is being in a room with these two. I have to leave them half the time alone.
Do your friends know about your boyfriend?
They have no reason to lie.
Get to hear anything wrong. You out of your mind? I mean, what are you?
Oh, she's left.
Hello, it's a very good evening and welcome once again to the sports segment in this Legends edition this Saturday evening on the new year. I hope that you had a great time, and we are now in the new year. I think it's really great for everybody else, and then we are going to have a bumper harvest in terms of sports this coming year. Now, in our highlights tonight, Martin Njoroge wins the chess crown. Arsenal on the international scene fall to Manchester City, while British icon Radakanu will not play the Dubai. Now, Martin Njoroge is the newly crowned national chess champion after humbling defending champion Mehul Gohil in a dramatic two-match tie-breaker. The Kenya National Chess Championship ended Sunday evening at Luke Hotel in Nairobi. In the ladies category, Sasha Mongeli defeated Triza Mwendwa to bag the national title. The winner of the 2021 National Championship Open section, Martin Njoroge, was awarded a brand new Mazda Demio. The 9-round tournament played over 5 attracted 211 players. The championship was organized by Chess Kenya. Here's part of the action. On the international soccer scene,
Rodrigo's late-minute goal assured Manchester City all the 3 points after a 2-1 win over Arsenal. Arsenal, however, displayed a masterclass performance despite a second-half red card. Some of the action.
Good defending in there for the Gunners. The on-field review from Stuart Atwell, the challenge by...
Still on the international scene, US Open champion Emma Raducanu has withdrawn from the first WTA tournament of the season in Melbourne, Australia. The 19-year-old Briton recently came out of isolation after contracting COVID-19 in Abu Dhabi before Christmas. Raducanu was due to compete in the Melbourne Somerset, an Australian Open warm-up event set to run from the 3rd to the 9th of January this year. She is expected to play in Sydney in the week before the Australian Open starts on the 17th of January. The British #1 and world #19 was made an MBE in the New Year Honours list. And that's all we had for you from the sports roundup. I know we're going to have a great sporting week ahead after the New Year celebrations. And from me, Topi Liambila, I'm signing off on this Legends Edition sports segment, wishing you a great New Year and hoping that you'll be with us again next weekend for another edition from the Legends section. Now we take a break and then we get back to Catherine later. That's good night and enjoy your evening.
Wounded heart.
Why did you have to come back?
Lucia, I'm still in love with you. A brave heart.
I saved your father's company. You're a nobody.
I want a divorce.
An ambitious heart. The man won't sell his land.
Just make him do it. That's what you're here for.
An innocent heart.
He can't force me to sell my land, father.
My brother will do anything to take your land. Take care of yourself, please.
A possessive heart.
Do what you have to do to get it.
Lying.
We are looking at the domain name system in Kenya.
So every country is given a code.
We are here on a weekly basis to make sure that you are ahead on matters technology. Tech news from all over the world. Many of the biggest US tech companies attended the COP26 UN Climate Summit, and tech features on innovations and inventions that will blow your mind. Catch us this Sunday and every other Sunday at 4:20 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1. And so, what is your take on tech? See you then.
Well, all you ever wanted to know about housing, property management. Well, look no farther. We have renowned David Masika being interviewed by my colleague, Fayaz Qureshi.
The living legend, Zaim Fayaz Qureshi. When one holds a top office in a top organization, it is expected that they will consolidate that position and grow with the business. The idea that one would resign and form an organization that will be in direct competition with their former employer is deemed career and financial suicide. Our guest today went against convention, and his name is now associated with the management of prime property and philanthropy through Cheshire Disability Services Kenya. We speak to a living legend of Kenya's business world, Mr. David Masika. It's so great linking up with you after all these years. It's a very special moment for me.
Same for me.
To be in the same space with you.
Yes.
Of a man I have extremely respected and honored over the years.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yes.
Yes.
And Of course, we'll just start off by asking you about your early life, education, and your time at the University of Nairobi.
Well, thank you very much indeed. First of all, let me give you thanks for just giving me this opportunity. First of all, to meet with you, and also just to talk generally, and I hope this will continue. I was born in then Machakos district, but in a place which is now Makueni County. And therefore, my early life was in Makueni, and that's where I went to primary school. When it came to secondary school, I came to school here in Nairobi, but finished up in Western Kenya in Bungoma School, because the practice that time was some students would be exchanged with other students from Nyanza and Western Kenya, with others from Machakos and so on and so on.
That was a very good thing.
Yes, it was a very good thing, because it kind of kills the tribe in you.
The tribalistic issue.
Absolutely.
You become friends, and
absolutely
tribal issues are set aside.
And even now, most of my friends still are from Western, because those are the fellows I played football with. Those are the fellows we danced with. And therefore, that's where I did up to Form 6.
And that's how it should be.
That's how it should
That's
be.
the world we dream of.
It was stopped.
Yes.
But that was definitely a very good thing. Now, when we started preparing to come to the university, I wanted to do law, because I thought it's best if I were a lawyer. But apparently when I went to Form 5, the English teacher didn't turn up. And therefore when now we have to prepare for the exams to do to the university, I could not do English. And therefore I ended up by being delegated to something different. Now, I looked into the curriculum, for the University of Nairobi, to try to find out whether there was something else I could do. And there was a degree, which there is today, called a BA in Land Economics. And the BA in Land Economics carries a lot of law with it, because you've got to do the law of contract, building, construction. In 4 years, or in the 3 years we are in the university, you still do law. But of course,
so obviously you being inclined towards law, this appealed to you.
Well, I liked law, and therefore, although I could not become a lawyer, but there was a lot of law in it.
So that's why you went for it?
That's why I went for it. Now, my very first subject at the university was a subject called the theory of structures, which is basically more or less physics. And the mathematics was by far my worst subject. And therefore,
now you're encompassed with it.
Now I'm encompassed with it, and so I decided this is enough now. So I go to the minister, to the dean, and ask them to transfer me to something else, but not this land economics with their theory of structures. So I go there, and the dean tells me, look, you are only sponsored here, so I just can't transfer you immediately. I've got to apply for you to be transferred if possible. In the meantime, continue on with what you are doing. Now, a week later, nothing had happened at all on what I should continue with. But he had also told me, in the meantime, maybe you can come and join us at the Housing Research and Development Unit, where maybe you'll learn a little bit more. And so, for most of the time when I was at the university, I did work with the Housing Research and Development Unit. And at that time, I came to learn a lot of other things. We did, for example, social surveys in the slum areas, in Majengo, in Machakos, in Bungoma, and so on and so on. Now, as we were doing that, I came to realize that the degree did not just mean mathematics, the structures and so on and so on.
There was much more to it.
Yes. In the meantime, we had also started doing the law of contract, the law of tort, the law that I liked. You know, I thought I could still do it.
So the interest built up.
So the interest was continued building up and so on and so on. Now, just in short, for most of the time when I was at the university, I did work with the Housing Research and Development Unit. And also, I was introduced to law, you know, the law limited, of course, to the degree course that I was taking.
But that was very interesting because, you know, usually it's all theoretical university, but you were also getting the practical experience here.
Yes, by luck, as you remember, running away from the university, I ended up at the Housing Research and Development Unit. So after the course of 3 years, we finished. And therefore, now we had to go for, to choose where to work. During that time, it was not difficult at all to get a job because the government did not value us anyway. But the advice given to me at the department was, if you really want to practice valuation and other things related to your career, avoid the government. Now, at that time, I must say, the government would be paying about 2.5 times, 3 times what the private sector was paying. And they needed people in their rating department, in the agricultural department, valuation department, or something like that. So I opted to look for jobs in the private sector.
The government was paying more than the private sector?
About 3 times.
That's extremely interesting.
Yes, but then they would not train
Usually
you.
It works the other way around.
Yes, but they will not train you. You won't get trained much. You won't be exposed, especially the way the private sector would expose you.
Right.
So I ended up then in Tyson's, where I was employed at their agricultural valuation section. And it is there that I then started my career in the agricultural sector, the valuation of the agricultural sector.
Yeah, I was actually coming to that.
Yes.
Tyson's Abenga was one of the biggest real estate firms in Kenya at that point in time, right?
Yes. By the way, it was not yet Tyson's Abenga. It was just Tyson's.
It was just Tyson's.
Yes.
Right.
Later on, Peter Okondo would join us, now from wherever he came from. And he brought the name Abenga now.
Oh, I see.
Yes. And with all sorts of problems you can never imagine. Anyway.
So how did that shape your knowledge of real estate at Tyson's?
Well, I was very well exposed when I came in because within the company, there were people who were trained internationally on agricultural valuers and agricultural valuation, whether it be coffee, tea, flour, livestock and things like that. And so I was taken through that very, very carefully. And indeed, after the 2 years, I was able to qualify now professionally, become a member of the Institutional Surveyors of Kenya, absolutely with no problem at all.
So you specialized specifically in agricultural valuation?
Yes, agricultural valuation. That's my specialty even today. And so after 2 years, then once I was admitted at to the Institutional Surveyors of Kenya, then, you know, I was free either to practice here or choose something else. But they were wiser than that because at that particular time, I was then sucked into the company now and became an associate.
Right.
And my friend Abenga now joined us as well.
So when you started, what were the challenges? Yes, John Lloyd joined you. In a very controlled setup, you could call it a closed shop.
The challenges were just the normal.
And what opportunities came your way? Challenges must be immense, I'm sure.
As soon as we started, because the people knew us, you know, the valuation work quickly started coming up.
Right.
We thought that all we were going to do was just the valuations. But very quickly we realized you need to have an agency department to be monitoring the market for you. You can calculate things, but you need somebody to tell you, yes, I have sold a house. And then you can analyze that house and build your knowledge, not just theoretical part of it, and so on and so on. So we started in urban valuations and me in agricultural valuations.
So you broadened your horizon.
So we broadened our horizons and things like that. And so,
which you had to.
Yes.
To stay within the market.
Yes, that company continued with that. Later on, of course, we'll be joined by engineers, because it's one of the companies that we never try to do what we do not know. And therefore, as for the machinery, we always got an expert to look at the machinery and advise us on the machinery, because it's not just costing it, there is much more obsolescence and things like that. Mm-hmm. And this Lloyd Musker does up to today anyway. What we don't know, we seek support and assistance.
Brilliant. Now, the value of land in the country has kept rising. How do we ensure that we do not have a real estate crash at some point in time? Or rather, do you see that, or will it just keep escalating, or will you find some stability? COVID crisis, give us some factors that contribute to this escalating price rise.
Yes, the values keep on rising, but new things are coming up. You know, for example, you see things that gone up, but you can get a flat now for 1.5 million shillings with all these affordable housing systems. And
the low-cost housing schemes.
The low-cost housing schemes.
Which is very good.
The land
it targets a certain market.
Yeah, the land.
So there's basically housing available for all brackets.
Absolutely. The land values have continued going up, but at the same time, technology has come up where you can put more units in the same area, and therefore spread of per unit, then it becomes reasonable. So I see as land becomes more valuable or expensive, but new ideas will come up where maybe you'll be able to accommodate more.
If you look at the last 10, 15 years,
yes,
it's practically gone up by about 1,000% prime areas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but then you can also put up more units. Unlike the old days, here in Karen, when I came here, you were to have at least 2.5 acres per dwelling unit.
Yes, that's changed a lot. Where
now
you can put more units
to half acre now.
Multi-developments, flats.
Yes, and I believe you will also maybe go into flats and things like that. So again, a lot of land is being opened up now. You find, I think with these trains, you can build a house in Sultan Ahmad and still live there and come back to town here.
You're an avid farmer.
Yes.
And rearing horses.
Now I'll let you know about the horses.
Okay, we'll talk about that a little later on.
About the horses. To me, a horse is a very versatile animal. Strong, much stronger than a bull can ever be. But you see, we Africans have really never got in. Those who did only went into racing part of it.
Right.
But sometime I had gone to China and I found that they were using horses for everything. For plowing, for dragging a cart, for riding on. And I was always
multi-purpose animal.
Yes, I was always wondering whether it cannot be used in an area like this. And I thought maybe let me start. And I went and bought two, a female and a male, which I took to Makwini. Now they grew very, very strong. And for whatever it is that I was trying to prove, whether it can plow, whether it can survive, they did very well. But then, I didn't know they have got another dark part of it as well. Because at Makwini, they went and found the other cousins of theirs, the donkeys there. And that became a very, very big problem for me. But just to say,
the donkeys and the horses don't see eye to eye.
They can do very well, and they will be very, very useful as well if you keep them there. I had also taken up at Makwini, I also taken the camels, but let me tell you, the Wakambas have got very little for a camel. First of all, they can never touch the milk. They just don't like camels at all.
They don't?
No, they don't like them.
All the camel milk is supposed to be very healthy.
Yes, I actually ended up by giving mine to Darius Bella. They can't touch the milk. But a horse, a camel, can do very well in Ukambani, and they are very profitable. But to get the Mukamba from his goats and his ngombes into this is very difficult. But they can do extremely well.
You served at the National Social Security Fund. How do we encourage our citizens to prepare for retirement?
Let me tell you, I've always wondered how I ended up at the NSSF because I didn't apply for the job. I went there, and when I went to the place, of course, the institution was kind of starved for cash, and I think for good reasons, because at that particular time the contribution was only 40 shillings. Very small amount of money. And when you imagine it, that also at the same time, NSSF was regarded as a government department. So you had to have an office in every district, with an office, with a Land Rover, with everything. But you're only collecting 40 shillings. So it was almost impossible, to make ends meet. Now, one of my biggest challenges was to try to find out how, in addition to getting this sum increase, how do I generate money, within the institution? And of course, I went into the real estate, where I thought, with whatever it is we had invested in the real estate, we can create housing schemes. And I indeed did create housing schemes. NSSF even today has got one of the best tenant purchase schemes, where whatever we built, we ended up by selling it to our own staff, who then paid for it with the same rent that they would be paying elsewhere. And up to the time I left the place, that was one of the best schemes that was working, and I do believe it works even up to today.
Now, you chair the board of Cheshire Disability Services Kenya. Tell us about this institution and the charity work involved with disabled adults and children.
I thank you very much indeed for bringing this. Now, if you remember when we were at the round table, once every month or so, we will raise money for some people with disabilities. And some of our seniors, like Sam Wariu, would be quite active in that. Because at that particular time, I did join Cheshire. Cheshire is an English international organization, which is run from London. Now, from the 40s, they used to have some homes here. Kariobangi Children Home, or Old People's Home, Limuru Children Home, and so on and so on. Dagoretti Children Home, and so on and so on. Now, that is how I was introduced into the Cheshire homes. And so, we started. But as time went on, the London office started becoming less enthusiastic in supporting the homes. In fact, as it starts now, the English have kind of completely changed from supporting the disability completely, feeling that just like for Asians, these people are better off supported by their families, if the families are there. Because in most cases, yes, somebody may need requirement from a family which is not there. So, about 40 years ago, Sam Waruyu, who was the chairman of Cheshire Global Cheshire here, he handed over the company to me. And seeing how things were getting on in London, we negotiated with them to allow us to form our local one here, as opposed to relying on theirs. And they kindly agreed. And when they agreed, we did form CDSK, which is then Cheshire Disability Services. And with that, one of the main reasons was I would not just simply rely on dish outs from London, but I can also seek for assistance from elsewhere. With it, we managed also now to become a member of the Global Alliance of Cheshire Homes, independently now. Independently now. Such that now that the English Cheshire Homes has kind of collapsed or is no longer in operation, it doesn't affect us at all. So we do have our own Cheshire.
So you're a separate entity on your own,
yeah,
but still linked with the overall body as such.
Now, all those after the English collapse, they now formed a global alliance now of the others. So as of now, Cheshire Disability Services, we do have about 5,000 children with disabilities and some homes like Kariobangi Old People's Home, which we do support. So it's now a huge institution, and we do raise funds from all over the world. We do raise funds from Lillian Funds, also from Britain when they have got the money as well. So it's quite a large thing. So as of now, we have about 5,000 children with disabilities that are supported countrywide by Cheshire Homes.
Wow.
By CDSK.
That is amazing.
Yes.
That is such an amazing, invaluable contribution from Cheshire, Homes. That is awesome. Your political aspirations. I'll let you say it.
That's one thing I never thought I would do in my life. Politics. But they say when calling comes, then you got to answer the call. I come from one of the best counties called Makueni. And Makueni, since we devolved into a country, has done extremely well. Now, come 5 years ago, I felt I had experience that can be employed to better certain things in Makueni. And therefore, I brought myself up and said, look, I am available. Let me say, this was not just purely for political. Even before I could come out to campaign, I was still working with the governor wherever he had issues that he thought I could be of assistance. I'll give you an example. When the railways was being done, there were the issues to do with land compensation, and I was involved. When the Thwakedan construction started, there were issues to do with the compensation. And having had that experience, as you remember, which you didn't mention, for about 8 years, I managed Turn and North Rivers Development Authority. And during that time, we put up the Masinga Dam, and we put up the Kiambere Dam. And with that as well, we put water schemes like the Kiambere Wiki Water Supply. So I have got experience.
You've had an amazing, prolific career, and your contribution towards society has been immense.
So I felt...
You're an unsung hero.
I felt with this experience, I could contribute something towards it.
Well then, congratulations.
Thank you.
What an empire you've built.
Yes.
And it's been an extreme pleasure to have interviewed you this afternoon.
Yes, thank you very much.
Let's hope you grow from strength to strength. And all the best in your political aspirations.
I need all the luck on that. It's a new field to me, but even in that there is a need for somebody with some kind of background, and I believe given the opportunity I should be able to move things from where we are forward, not backward but forward.
Dare to dream and live your dreams, and when you do so, you help others achieve theirs through simple acts of charity. It has been a pleasure speaking to real estate expert, avid farmer and philanthropist, Mr. David Masika on the Living Legends. I am Fayaz Qureshi. Thank you for joining us.
Well, it has been a wonderful start to a beautiful, promising year 2022. Well, we want to thank you for being with us throughout 2021. And of course, we are expecting you right here. Tell your friends about it. KBC, the channel that gives you the most comprehensive news coverage. My name is Kasavuli. Our sign language interpreter has been Anne Wangeshe. Do have a wonderful evening and loads of God's blessings for the new year. Prosperity, love, joy, and peace. Enjoy.
What's up, family? I am Jane Mamboy Kibera.
My good name is Doreen Arange Okelo.
And we've been talking about politics, all right? The whole year. Gojeni to come next year, it will be on another level.
A prosperous 2022 and save the date. January 4th, let us meet here at KBC Channel 1 Good Morning Kenya from 6:30 to 10 a.m.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year!
Wounded heart.
Why did you have to come back?
Lucia, I'm still in love with you. A brave heart.
I saved your father's company. You're a nobody.
I want a divorce.
And